Love and light, ladies. This is Love, also known as the Self Love Guru, and I am your confidence coach. And today we are going to be talking about things to know before you get married. I cannot stress this enough. And as I've already told you, ladies, marriage, family, planning, we've been talking about those things very briefly, but most of my content was heavily focused on mindset and making sure that you are prepared to be a man's wife, prepared to vet a partner. And now we're sort of shifting gears a little bit as I learn more in my personal journey because my life is in transition as well. And so these are things that I have been teaching you, ladies. However, as I'm in the situation and going through that process, there are some things that I feel like are important to know. It's the 30th. Hold on, let me mark something on my calendar really quickly. Okay, I just got a thought. So here we are. These are things that I think are super duper important to talk about. All right. Number one is sex. Sex. And I know you're probably like, well, love, wouldn't we have already discussed this? We should probably, maybe be having sex already. I don't know what your preferences are, but we should probably be having sex already. Like, wouldn't we know these things? Listen, marriage can change the dynamic of a relationship. And it should, because standards should be different, mindset should be different, goals should be different, right? So you may know maybe what your man enjoys sexually. You may know like the frequency of the sex that you're having now, just basic things. But what you need to know is how often he's expecting it. How many times a week when we get married do you think that we're going to be sleeping together? Because maybe you all see each other twice a week now, or maybe you see each other more frequently. Maybe you're hanging out every single day after work and, your other obligations, going to the gym together. Who knows? But your life could be so busy and so filled with other things that you don't really have time to sleep together a lot. And when a man has what they call living punani, things can change. So I want you to understand that some men are expecting sex more frequently as a result of it. And then on the other hand, some men are like, well, I'm not expecting it a lot because things change during marriage. Women get stingy, whatever the case may be. But know yourself, know your partner, have that conversation. How often do you expect it? Do we need to schedule it? Like if we're both busy, do we need to say, you know what, Thursday night is when we get it in? Saturday can be date night, but Thursday will definitely have sex. Even if we don't have sex on date night, maybe that's just a time to be intimate with one another in a different way, cuddle, enjoy each other's company, stare at each other gazingly across the table, pretend like we're dating again. Like, yeah, all that fun, flirty stuff, but keep it interesting. Seriously, I'm not just saying this to be facetious. Keep it interesting. Know what that man is expecting. Try some new things. I'm not telling you to learn how to be an acrobat. I'm not saying ride it like a rodeo. I'm saying know what your man is expecting so that you can know if you can adhere to that. Now, if you have a man that says, "Oh, I expect to have sex every day," be realistic with yourself. Do I want to be his wife? Because if you can't accommodate everyday sex, then that's what it is. Or maybe you need to negotiate. Hey, you know what? Every day sounds like a bit much. What if we do it every other day? right? Give me some time to replenish myself. Or what if it's 4 days on, 3 days off? 3 days on, 4 days off, taking probiotics in between, drinking lots of water. I don't know. Because depending on his diet as well, maybe his semen or, just raw sex with him, period, maybe that could throw off your pH balance. Condoms. If you're using condoms now, will you continue to use condoms in marriage? These are the questions. Okay? Have that conversation. A good way to have this conversation is to just ask him about his ideal life. Okay, let's picture your ideal life. Leave me out of it. You don't have to consider me. This is not a trick question, babe. But I want you to think like in a perfect world, how many days a week would you have sex? And you can really ask him, like really quiz him. Like if he says, oh, yeah, I expected to do it 3 times a day. Well, babe, sometimes you get tired. Like after the first round, like you go straight to sleep. Like it seems like, after you come, you go straight to bed. And we never have done it twice in one night. So is that really what you're expecting, or were you being funny? And he might be, oh, no, that was just a joke. No, seriously, I think like, 3 days a week might be fine, or maybe two, if you're tired or if you're on your period, I'd be flexible. Like, you got to know these things. So make it open. And I told y'all the quickest way to get information out of a man is by acting like you're not really too pressed about the responses. Like, be so open and make him so comfortable with talking to you about these things. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. It works. I do it every day. It works. All right. Plus, I'm a therapist. I know how to get information out of people. Just saying. The second thing you should be discussing is the life goals, babe. Your man is, I don't know, 48, and then all of a sudden he decides to tell you that he wanted to go back to school to get his doctorate of philosophy, and he wants to become a professor. And right now he's an engineer and he's making 6 figures a year. And you're going to have to make some lifestyle cutbacks because he can't work full time while he does this doctorate program. And you all have kids and a mortgage and 2 car payments and a vacation plan and 401ks, and you're a stay-at-home mother. These are things you need to be discussing. Like, do you see any point in your life where you would like to go back to school? Like, what are some of your dreams and aspirations, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, well, when you get married, you just merge lives. Okay, well, what does that mean? That means that before the marriage, you were two individuals, right? So now that you have these goals, you have to consider your partner with them. Even for you ladies, if you want to go back to school, that's time consuming, especially with most adult classes, most professional programs. You're in class at night, even if it's virtual. So, is your man going to be okay with you logging onto a laptop at 7 p.m. until 9 o'clock? And he has to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. So he's in the bed by 10, but then you got to kiss the kids, right? Then you got to make sure lunches are packed. What is your life going to look like? Y'all got to talk about that. And I won't spend too much time on life goals. I think that part is a bit self explanatory. But with this question, ask yourself, where would you like to see us in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see yourself professionally? So if he tells you, I want to move up in my company, you can ask, well, does that require any further training that is both on the job training and offsite training? Does it require you to go back to school? Ask those questions, like, so that he can be thinking about it as well, because he may not be. Some people just live in the moment. And it's not that that's a bad thing. It's just that if I am living in the moment and I'm just trying to survive right now and figure out what right now looks like, I'm not considering what it's going to take later on down the line for this relationship to continue to be productive and be lucrative for the both of us long term, right? So they got to think about that. The third thing is bills. I cannot stress this enough. Listen, being a girlfriend is one thing. Not cohabitating and having a man pay your bills is another thing. That's the best feeling, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, getting your bills paid and not living with a guy, like not having to see him every day. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, right? But when you're married, the dynamic changes, bro. It does. Ladies, this is a completely different ball game. You have to talk about bills because now you're a wife. Now there's some liability here. Now, if something doesn't get paid, you got to figure it out. Like, I'm sorry to say, like, if your husband gets injured and has to be out of work, or, he's sick, or he goes through a job transition and it takes a little longer for him to start that new job, you're a wife now. And hopefully you're managing the finances. I always recommend that women manage the finances, but I don't recommend that you do it blindly. I'm not just talking about just paying bills. Become financially literate. If you have to, hire a financial advisor, get somebody to teach you about how to budget, get someone to teach you about savings, get someone to teach you about investments, get someone to teach you how to put your money in an account for emergencies, develop an emergency fund. We recently just had a car emergency. Y'all know I love my white Jeep. Her name is Betty. The car emergency was a little over $800. We didn't skip a beat. It was literally a transfer of funds from one account to the other. I was able to, because I've used my emergency fund like at least once a year, at least. And it's typically for car things, to be completely honest. But I was able to replenish it because he was taking care of the bills. And I had a ton of money left over. So I could replace that money. And now we're working on a plan to replenish that emergency fund. Right. And so if I was not financially literate, that could have been a disaster. Because I'm going to be honest with y'all, like, not just because a man is a man and he works and he is comfortable with providing, that doesn't mean that he's financially literate. I want y'all to be real with yourselves. Like, you don't know what kind of family this person comes from. You don't know if they live, like a lot of guys just live, as things come. And you can tell their lifestyle is different. Their house is different. They don't have all the cool candles and nice bed sheets. They're just kind of living life like, hey, bare minimum type stuff. And that's okay. But sometimes these men don't have savings. They may not. So you have to be the one to make sure that that gets established for your family. Even if you're using his money, like, that's not a problem. But do what you have to do. I told you ladies a million times, anytime a man gives me money, if it's not going directly towards bills, it's going into a savings account. I still have my job. I'm still making my money. I still use those same sources of income to get the things that I need to get paid. And then I was using their money to fund whatever I needed to fund, investing it into my business, investing it into my savings, whatever it took. But I became financially literate quickly. And I continue to keep myself in that financial space so that that mindset shift could occur and I could start being a better steward over my money. But it's your responsibility as a mother, especially if you have children. And I meant as a wife, but especially if you have children, because they can come with a lot of unexpected expenses and you got to be prepared for that. All right. The next thing to discuss is financial goals. What do you want out of life? Do you want a lavish lifestyle? You got to know that. Like a lot of women, we want to live a little lavish. Lavish to you might be nails. Lavish to you might be jewelry. Lavish to you might mean your hair. Maybe your hair is expensive. Maybe you like the long bundles. I have been wearing braids so much because I'm pregnant and I'm not trying to maintain a damn thing, okay? Can't. Don't have the energy, have no desire. It is what it is, right? That may be a luxury to you. Who knows? Luxury to you might mean new gadgets. You like to have the latest iPhone. I still have the 11 Pro. I'm not that pressed. But lavish to you might mean vacations. Whatever your lavish is. But if you and your man are not on the same page about your financial goals, that is going to be a problem. You have no clue how many times I've had to have a conversation with a man about things that I just like to do. Like some people are not going to see investing into your business or your brand as a good investment. I knew I could bet on myself. I knew that it was going to be worth it because I was going to put the work in. I knew that. I knew that. I knew that I had the skill. I knew that I was willing to get more training, and I did that. I knew that I was willing to put in the work. I knew that I was willing to build up my website, build up my clientele, get me some new business cards. I knew that I had the connections. I knew that I was going to do what it took to get the things that I wanted from these businesses and that I was going to flip it. So when I was dating certain men, that was okay because they were willing to invest in me. But dating certain other guys, it was like, well, I'll give you the money for your car payment, but that brand you're talking, they didn't take that seriously. What type of man do you have? Are your financial goals serious to him? Oh, we just need a vacation once a year. But if you need to be in the tropics in December, like I prefer to be because I hate the cold, then you need somebody that's going to be on the same page. All right. So keep that in mind. Next, banking. Oh, that got serious, didn't it? Woo. This is pretty serious too. Banking. Are you going to be merging finances? Will you have a joint bank account? Now, this is completely and totally up to you. Completely and totally. But what is he expecting? Is he expecting all of your money to go in account altogether? If so, you might want to be funneling a little money into another account, saving somewhere that automatically gets deducted as soon as you get paid, straight out the check. Um, are you all saving for certain purchases, like a car purchase, a home purchase? Are you saving for holidays, gifts? I just opened up a holiday cash account. I am already so obsessed with seeing the results at the end of the year. I think they said the money will be released to my account in October when the holiday starts. So I'm guessing Halloween is considered a holiday. So it's like Halloween, Thanksgiving, then Christmas. But I am thrilled. I am thrilled to have this money coming out of my account because I know we do like to purchase gifts for people. But what is that going to look like, right? What is that going to look like? So you want to make sure that you are able to know where your money is going, Know where your money is going out to, like what's going to be paid. And I put banking and financial goals separately because a financial goal means, okay, this is where we want to be, this is what we're working towards. Your banking literally has to do with where is our money going to be stored, and are we going to store it together? All right. Numero seis, childcare expectations. So if you don't plan on having kids, this part isn't for you. But childcare expectations, do you want to be at home with your baby? Does your job allow you to do that? Are you going to have to find remote work, if you're going to work a job? I want to work right now. At first, I was like, you know what? I don't want to work. I just want to be a stay-at-home mom and do no. I went to school for this. I'm invested. I love what I do. I love being a therapist. I love being a coach. I just love this stuff. Plus, I am pursuing a clinical license. Mind you, I had to pay for it. And now I have to get my hours. I want to finish those freaking hours. But guess what? I can be at home with my baby and do my job. And in the evening time, I can have childcare so I can do my job, because most of my sessions are later on in the evening when families are home, kids are home from school, etc. Right? So I had to consider that. And I also considered, hey, if we ever have to go back into the field, what will that look like for me? We've had that discussion, and I let him know what my plans would be and how I felt about it. And also share with him other ways that I plan on making money, because I have some financial goals of my own. I have student loans. That's something that I'm working on. Um, and not just student loans as a whole, but just debt freedom in general. Like, I want to be debt free. I'm working on that vigorously. What's crazy, it took for me to conceive this child before I was like, oh yeah, I can start. Because I'll be honest, you don't have to completely pay off your debts in order to have good credit. Like, I've always had really good credit. And so because of that, paying off certain things completely wasn't a big deal to me. It was like, make the payments, keep that payment history good. My payment history is excellent. That's it. It is what it is. I'm not pressed. I'm not pressed. But now that I'm about to have a baby, I'm like, you know what? I really want to free up as much money as I possibly can. I just want to do that. My goals have shifted. And I'm telling you, when you experience that type of mindset shift, and some of you may have gone through this stage already, but having a baby, it changes the game for you. It really does. My goals are so different now. It's crazy. But yeah, talk about childcare expectations. Know what it is. Your husband may say, no, I want you to stay at home. Working for you may not be negotiable. Now, because my man and I had met well before, we met when I was pursuing my undergraduate degree. It was like my sophomore, no, after, it was the summer after my sophomore year of college when I met this man. So he's already seen my path and he knew what I wanted to do. And I'm doing it. So even when I spoke to him about being a stay-at-home mother, he was like, are you sure? Like, I don't really think you should just stop all that you have going on. This is what you've been working towards. And I thought about it. I really did. I gave it some concrete thought and I was like, you're absolutely right. I would probably be very unfulfilled. And like, I used to be a nanny, so I've worked around a lot of mothers who they did feel very unfulfilled not working. They just wanted to know what it was like to be a working woman. And a lot of women, I'll be honest, like, we want to be provided for, but we also want to work and have something to call our own. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So just weigh out the pros and cons. Figure out what you want for yourself. For some women, they love being a stay-at-home mom. They just adore it, and they find ways to get that human interaction. When I say human, not that your babies aren't human, but adult interaction um, outside of the home, and they find mommy groups and support, or keep in touch with their friends. But for me, this path that I'm on is really helping me fuel my brand, and it's allowing me to be in spaces where I can network, because the way my therapy job is set up, I can do so much, y'all. Like, it's crazy. So I have a lot of flexibility over my time. Anywho, I'm going off on a tangent, but just showing you, like, it's not really a tangent, but just showing you how important it is to really set your life up. Like, I've really set my life up for this. I have. I've been setting my life up for it the whole time. And I'm very much so a planner. So I'm not saying that everything is going to be super perfect at all times. Like, life is not always going to be the way you plan it. But when you're diligent and when you really work towards the things that you want, you can get it. Because I honestly say, like, first starting off in this field, you don't have that flexibility. You don't even really have the peace of mind to feel like, oh, I can go out and do other things, and my job will be fine, and I can prep for my sessions on this day, and I can work on client documents on this day. Like, no, doesn't work like that. You got to come in and you got to earn your stripes, and you have to do direct care, and you have to make sure that you are constantly studying, and it's just so much. So you got to think about what comes with your field and what you're really trying to get out of this. And it may sound tedious. Like, some people are like, oh, I already know what I want to do for my career, and I know, da, 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 da. And then the more I ask you questions and I pry and I probe, y'all don't know what you're doing. So I'm not making this video to tell you that you don't know what you're doing. I'm making this video to say, have you really looked at every angle? And if you have, how are you willing to pivot if anything changes? All right. Housing plans is number 7. Does this man want to buy a house? If you buy a house this year and then he gets a job that pays double, triple his salary, and y'all have to move out of state, will you be prepared to sell that house? Will you be prepared to uproot yourself? How much house do you need for the size family that you want? Because buying a home is a commitment. So this is why you see a lot of times where people will buy a house bigger than what they need. And you're like, wow, it's only these two and their one son. Why do they need a bigger house? Why do they need 5 bedrooms? Why do they need 6 bedrooms? Because they're going to be expanding their family. So how much house do you need? Who's going to keep up the lawn? Are you looking at first-time home buyers programs? Who's financing the home? Is it going in your name? Is it going in his name? If anything happens, who will keep the family home? Will the home have any type of warranty? What type of neighborhood do you want to live in? Are you looking at the school districts? Who's going to pay the mortgage? Do you have life insurance to cover the mortgage in case anything happens to this man. He passes away 6 months after you buy the house. Women tend to go bankrupt from losing that other source of income, not being prepared. What's going to happen to you? What's going to happen to your children? I'm so sleepy. Y'all, I don't know what time I woke up this morning, but couldn't go back to sleep for a while. I was kind of uncomfortable. There was a lot going on anyway, pregnancy pains. But you got to consider those housing plans. You got to think about that. And you also have to ask him those stranger questions like, hey, what if your brother didn't have a place to live? Would you feel comfortable with them living in our house, in the guest bedroom? Because I'll be honest, when we were kids, my parents had a couple people come and stay with us at different intervals in life. It wasn't like we were a boarding house or anything, but when people needed to get on their feet, they would always ask my parents if they could come stay with us. And so people were living there. Like it was family, but I've had three of my cousins come live with us at different times. I've had an uncle come live with us. Y'all got to talk about stuff like that. He can't just invite people to come live with you and not tell you about it. Like, and my man knows what it is. You bet not. I will kick them out personally. So don't feel like whatever you tell this person is going to trump the way I feel about it. How much are they contributing? Because just because you have to get on your feet doesn't mean you're going to live here for free. That's very different. You have to contribute something. Also, how clean is this person? Right? You got to think about y'all think look it up. There's a website. There's actually two. One of them is called Quora though. I think the other one is called Reddit. So Quora is QUORA.com, I believe, and Reddit is RDDIT.com. And they both have apps, and people ask questions like this, like, am I the asshole? And how is that? Am I the asshole? So if you see AITA, yeah, AITA. So they'll be like, am I the asshole for telling my husband's cousins that they can't live here? They've been here, they're not contributing anything. They eat all the food, they don't help clean. I'm cleaning up after so and so grown adults. Like, excuse, I'm looking at this like, I wish you would. I wish you would. It's not happening. No, 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 no. So they ask questions like this. So type that in. Just type in a few scenarios. I promise you, someone has gone through it. I'm not just mentioning this just for the heck of it. But you don't have to take my word for it. Just do your own research, know these things. All right, sex, life goals, bills, financial goals, banking, childcare expectations, housing plans. That's just to name a few. If you're getting married, you have to talk about everything. And know, even if you talk about these things now, 5 to 10 years from now, those things may look very different. You know, but these are things that you have to constantly consider within your relationship and within your marriage. And it's okay. Like, be flexible, be able to pivot, but don't agree to anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. As a woman, I would never commit to, for this is just an example, but I will never commit to paying bills long term by myself. Like, if something happens, my man is in some type of transition and I got to pay the rent that month, I don't have a problem with that. That you may find that shocking, but the amount of money that I'm able to save by this man doing what he has to do outside the home, and the fact that I know I'm going to be able to stay at home with my baby with no worries, that to me means more than dropping a couple $100s to make sure we have a roof over our head. Like, be real, right? Um, Being able to have an emergency fund and pay for car emergencies like this with no issues, that's what means something to me. Not being nitpicky about, oh, well, I had to, like, it's not that deep to me. All right. You may not be that woman, but I know as a lady, I could never commit to something like that long term. Like, he would have to have some type of disability insurance or something. He would have to. That's another thing you can consider when you look at the financial goals. Will you have disability insurance just in case something happens to you and you need to be out of work temporarily? Your job may not have it, so you have to consider that. And so in the event that something does happen where someone becomes disabled, because this happened to my parents, I think I told you ladies this, but this happened to my parents. And so when my dad became disabled, he ended up getting a check for himself, his children were able to get checks, so my mom was able to have some help with that. I'm not sure if that was like after he passed away or during. My parents didn't really keep us in the loop of the finances, which that was between them as a married couple. But what I can honestly tell you is that my mom still had help she wasn't doing all that stuff by herself. And my father made sure of that. All right. But one thing my dad did not have was life insurance. That was a shocker to me because I remember when they had life insurance. So they let the policy lapse for whatever reason. And when my father passed away, they had no life insurance. Ask me why I'm a licensed life insurance agent to this day. Right? These are things to consider. These are things to be mindful of. Shit happens. Life happens. Be prepared. Don't get caught slipping. Just don't do it. Don't do it. You don't have to live like that. And y'all be young. Listen, life insurance for you, if you're in your 20s, maybe early 30s, and you're perfectly healthy, I'm literally talking less than $30 a month. You can make that happen. You could do somebody's makeup and charge them $40 if you know how to do it. Makeup artists don't have to be like, which is LU Consulting Firm. The letter L, the letter U Consulting Firm. Look me up. It's Level Up Consulting Firm. When it pops up, it'll say Level Up by Love. Schedule a consultation with me and let's talk about these different types of side hustles and what you have to do in order to get started. Just do that. I promise you, it's going to pay off. I promise you. All right. I love y'all. Have a great day. Peace and love. Think about these things, write it down, figure it out for yourself first, then go talk to your partner. Be willing to negotiate, be open, and know that life happens, shit happens. You got to know what type of woman you are. Are you going to stay? Are you going to leave? Like, know all that for yourself. Know that for yourself. Be prepared. Set yourself up financially for success. All right? Good day.